Welcome back to another episode here of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Probably doing the most important video that I think I put out on a weekly basis for fantasy football. We're going to be looking at all of the past weekend's games from week 2. We have 15 games. It's Monday night as I record this right now. In 2 hours, we get the Packers and the Lions game. So I'm gonna kind of go rapid fire with this, but we're looking at box scores, snap counts, and just kind of learning everything that we can from the last 2 games. We'll kind of talk about injuries and whatnot that happened. But if you're interested, go to thefantasyfellowship.com. I am starting to enter week 3 information in there for start sits, but the waiver report tomorrow night, we're doing our live stream for the waiver report. I put a bunch of information in this one. So we're going to have a good live stream tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on Tuesday. But let's get into this. We're using Pro Football Focus here. Or is this Pro Football? Yeah, Pro Football Reference, my bad. We'll kind of just briefly go over the Giants and the Washington football team. This game happened the other night. As far as snap counts go, looking at the Giants, you see Daniel Jones, of course, had a great game. Sterling Shepard, though, looks like the wide receiver 1 here, 93% of the snaps. The next best wideout was Kenny Gallaudet at 84%. And then Darius Slayton. So we know the top 3 receivers in this offense. And I'm weird to say, but I might be interested in acquiring pieces of the Giants offense after that game against Washington. Kadarius Toney's kind of an afterthought. So we know there's 3 wide receivers. The running back, Saquon Barkley, 84% of the snaps, a massive improvement from week 1. Devonta Parker, only 10 total snaps. He's kind of an afterthought at this point. And 10 days rest for Saquon Barkley. I'm actually excited for Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley, and yes, Kenny Gallaudet. I actually think the Giants offense with Barkley and Gallaudet and Daniel Jones can be buy lows. They produced on a short week here against a really quality opponent here with the good defense of Washington. And I'm interested. Kenny Gallaudet didn't play that great, but again, he missed a lot this summer as far as practice goes with his hamstring injury, and he's just getting settled in here. He did have a nice amount of targets, 8 total targets. That was second on the team, 3 for 38. That's a floor game for him. I think it's going to be that 6 to 7, 8 points, per game as a floor, but only 2 more targets for Sterling Shepard. Shepard saw 10. He caught 9 for 94. He's a fringe wide receiver 1 at the moment right now. I think he looks good as a wide receiver 2 in your lineup, but if you're able to get him off the waiver wire, you can get him as a wide receiver 3. So Sterling Shepard in a PPR league, I love it. Kenny Gallaudet, I'm gonna watch and continue to see if his chemistry with Daniel Jones improves. Jones just missed him a couple times on some overthrows. But Saquon Barkley, again, 84% of the snaps, 13 for 57, caught 2 of his 3 targets for 12 yards. This is your new floor for Saquon Barkley, 8 to 10 points. Hopefully gets more involved as he gets healthy next week against week 3. And this team plays the Atlanta Falcons next week. We should be excited about the New York Giants. That might be the last time to get some cheap offers on these guys. But Daniel Jones, 250 yards, a touchdown. Also ran for a touchdown. He's going to be a threat to run for a touchdown every week, I think, going forward. And 9 for 95. The football team just could not stop that Daniel Jones option. On the football team side, Terry McLaurin, congrats. You finally had that big breakout game. I think Taylor Heineke is going to be good for him. He's going to target the hell out of Terry McLaurin. So good news for McLaurin. He's back to wide receiver. He's a fringe wide receiver 1 at the moment right now. Damian Brown was the number 2 receiver, 87% of the snaps. Adam Humphries, though, while Curtis Samuel is away, Humphries could be a really low-end PPR wide receiver 3 flex option for you. It's not pretty, but he gets the targets. And then as far as the other receivers, Cam Sims, DeAndre Carter, Dax Milne, nothing important there. So it's all about Terry and maybe Damian Brown. That just feels a little too boom bust. But Humphries feels to be, as long as Samuel's out, Humphries can be kind of safe. And then as far as tight ends, like Logan Thomas, he's played back-to-back 100% snaps. So I love Logan Thomas going forward. I think Heineke's going to be good for him. And then the running backs, Antonio Gibson, 43 snaps to J.D. McKissic's 31. The game script was really weird in this one. And just Washington, I think they messed up their game plan. They just refused to kind of run the ball at weird times. And they opted to use McKissic quite a bit, which in the 2-minute offense, I get it. But as far as Antonio Gibson getting pulled out at goal lines and things like that, just interesting. So I'm not going to take away too much from this one. I think it was an outlier kind of game, whereas it's just a short week. Gibson got some rest. He still got you 9 fantasy points. He's going to be just fine. He'll get some touchdowns coming soon. But McKissic, interesting guy off the waiver wire. He's kind of a poor man's James White. He could be kind of fun. Let's look at this box score real quick. You get, first of all, Heineke. I mean, he's 34-46. I don't think Washington wants him throwing the ball 46 times to win games going forward. But 336, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, added 6 yards on the ground. He's a super flex quarterback too. He's going to be an interesting streamer. And if he plays Dallas, there's going to be some quarterback 1 moment. So Heineke, if you need a quarterback 2, just slide him down there and see what happens. Antonio Gibson, he did get the touches though, 13 for 69. I love that as a floor, and then 2 for 4, in the receiving game. That's fine. Again, this is a floor game for Antonio Gibson, so I think we're going to be fine going forward. McKissick only got 4 carries, but he did get the goal line touchdown in the 2-minute offense at the end of the first half, and then you get the receiving 5 for 83. He had that big 56-yard play in the late in the fourth quarter. Mclaren just beautiful, 11 for 107 and a touchdown. Logan Thomas still got the 7 targets, 5 for 45. That's a floor game for Logan Thomas. You're going to take that. Adam Humphrey, 7 for 44. Damian Brown, yada, yada, yada. So this was a fun game. We learned a lot about these teams, and I think as far as for fantasy football, we should be very interested in both sides. Moving into the Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, let's look at the snap counts first and figure out what just happened. The Bengals side, Joe Burrow played the full game. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, top 3 receiver options. We know these guys. Jamar Chase got 93%. T. Higgins got 91%. Tyler Boyd got 87%. T. Higgins left this game for a little bit. He got hit pretty hard. He did come back, though. He did catch that touchdown late in the fourth quarter. But all 3 receivers, I think if you were worried about Tyler Boyd, you're basically just going to have to ride these lumps up and down. Keep him in as your wide receiver 3. He had a 14-point PPR day. He's going to be fine. But I love all 3 Bengals receivers. Joe Mixon continues to dominate the running back snaps, 84%. Again, the clear backup, though, kind of losing some steam here to Chris Evans. So I'm watching to see this packing order for RB2, Samaje Perine or Chris Evans. Evans didn't even play last week, and now he's getting some runs. So keep an eye on Chris Evans. That is an interesting name that I'm going to follow. CJ Uzomah, the clear-cut tight end 1 here, 40 snaps. Drew Samples, 21. Let's see the box score and see how these snap counts relate here. So Burrow, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 3 picks on 3 straight passes, unheard of. But he did it. He got sacked a lot too. It was a frustrating day, but I think he's going to be okay. Joe Mixon got stuffed pretty regularly, 20 for 69 on the ground, 1 catch, 2 yards. This is a bad game for Mixon. This is a floor game for him, so you'll take that. Tyler Boyd, though, 9 targets, 7 for 73. This is what we expected from Tyler Boyd to begin with. So continue to trust Tyler Boyd. He's going to be heavily involved. He out-targeted Jamar Chase 9-4. So that's an interesting trend here. We'll get some more data points next weekend in a tough game against Pittsburgh. We'll see if TJ Watt plays. But T. Higgins, I think the story here is T. Higgins. I think he is the alpha receiver of this group. He had 10 targets, 6 for 60, and 1 touchdown. When they need big plays, they're usually looking for T. Higgins. He did have a costly fumble in this one that kind of opened things up even more for Chicago, but I like the usage for Higgins. He's getting the snaps. He's getting the targets. He was basically 2 for 2 through this week. And then with Jamar Chase, he had a frustrating game. If he didn't catch that 42-yard touchdown, we'd be like, what's with Jamar Chase? So he saves the day with the 42-yard touchdown. There's Chris Evans, 1 for 14. CJ Uzomah, I know he didn't do anything great, but 2 for 4. He's the clear tight end number 1 over there. Let's look at the Bears snap counts real quick. Darnell Mooney continues to be the leading snap receiver for Chicago. I think he's a fringe wide receiver 3 flex almost every week at this point. Allen Robinson, only 80% of the snaps. We don't care about Goodwin, Bird, any of the other receivers here. It's Mooney and Robinson. As far as running backs go, David Montgomery saw 80%. Damian Williams only 23%. And then the tight ends, another huge win for Cole Kmet, 72% compared to Jimmy Graham's 34%. And then we'll get into some of the quarterback stuff. Justin Fields played basically 65% of this game, whereas Dalton got hurt, was in and out, 35% for him. Let's look at the numbers real quick. Justin Fields did go 6 of 13, 60 yards, an interception. He added 31 yards on the ground. Not the best, full kind of like reveal for Justin Fields. It was a pretty rough go, especially that interception late in the fourth quarter. But if he can start, you're going to want to get him in your lineups. It's just a matter of time. It sounds like Andy Dalton's going to be on track to play week 3, which is frustrating. And Dalton actually was playing okay. He was 9 for 11, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. And again, he only played about 20 snaps in this game. He also added 25 yards on the ground. So I think, to be fair, Andy Dalton actually looked better than Justin Fields in this one through 1 quarter. David Montgomery just dominated the attempts, 20 for 61, 3 of 18 through the air. Damian Williams, 2 for 6 and 2 for -2 yards. So it was a bad Damian Williams games, but he's still, if anything happens to Montgomery, Williams is the backup to own. Looking at Darnell Mooney, who led the team in targets, 6 for 66. Allen Robinson did get the touchdown. Otherwise, we'd be pretty upset. 2 for 24, 1 touchdown on 4 targets. And then after that, Cole Kmet disappointed me. He played all those snaps, only 1 target. But this was a weird game, I think, for kind of both sides. It was a really slow-paced game, and I don't really know how much we learned from Chicago. I like David Montgomery still. Damian Williams is the clear handcuff, and it's Mooney, Robinson. And if you need to use Cole Kmet, I guess he's getting the usage. Eventually that'll translate. And then the Bengals. Keep trusting your Bengals. Let's click into we'll be quick about the Saints and the Panthers. Like, the Saints, man. Like, we have to ask ourselves, what is Taysom Hill going to be starting soon? I think Taysom Hill is worth a speculative ad. Winston was awful. 42 snaps, though, 95%. Kamara did play a lot, 84%. Marquez Callaway and Little Jordan Humphrey were the leading receivers. Adam Troutman, 52% of the snaps. Jawan Johnson, though, he's listed as a receiver here, 41%. So he's kind of losing ground here to Jawan Johnson as a tight end there. And then Tony Jones, only 12 snaps. Ty Montgomery got 14 snaps, who's kind of being more used as a receiver. So interesting things there. Let's look at the Panthers while we're here. DJ Moore, congrats if you got DJ Moore in the 4th or the 5th round of your fantasy drafts. He's the clear wide receiver 1 on this team. 88% of the snaps for him. Robbie A, 74%. And then you have a drop down to Terrace Marshall Jr., who I'm still leaving the candle on. I'm going to leave the door open for Terrace Marshall Jr. Anything happens to DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, I think Terrace Marshall could be a fun fantasy player. And then it's just Christian. This is Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore offense. We don't care about the tight ends. I think at this point we're scared for Robbie Anderson. There's not a lot to go here. Sam Darnold played well. 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and he only had one useful fantasy wide receiver. That was DJ Moore, who got 11 of the 38 targets for 8 for 79 and a touchdown. Robbie Anderson, 6 targets, only 3 for 38. Like, we're going to be asking ourselves, like, do we start Robbie Anderson going forward? Terrace Marshall did catch all 3 of his targets for 17. Brandon Zylstra got the random ass touchdown. Dan Arnold, we'll watch Dan Arnold here. 3 for 55 on 4 of his targets. And then it's all McCaffrey. 24 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 for 65 through the air. Chuba Hubbard did come in for a little bit. McCaffrey was kind of in and out of the game for a bit, but we'll watch his practice reports. And then the Saints. Jameis Winston, 11 of 22, 111 yards, 2 picks, sacked 4 times. He did get the rushing TD to salvage the day, which Kamara owners were probably upset about. But Alvin Kamara, only 8 carries for 5 yards, 4 catches for 25 yards. This is one of the worst games for the Saints offense and Alvin Kamara that I can remember of late. Not a single receiver here I want to use in my fantasy lineup. I know Marquez Callaway had the fun preseason game, but at this point, I think the only responsible thing to advise here is to use Alvin Kamara, and that's it. Until we get more data points, I think I am interested in maybe adding Taysom Hill here as a backup in Superflex leagues. Let's move on to Houston and Cleveland. The Texans show some bite, man. They're not gonna go down, without a swing. As far as their snap counts, really we only care about Brandon Cooks, but I did take note that Chris Conley was on the field for 90% of the plays. No other receiver saw more than 36%. So it's Brandon Cooks and Chris Conley. Those are the 2 receivers to know. They have a 2 tight end kind of system going on here with Farrell Brown and Jordan Akins. They both saw 38 snaps for 62%. And then the running backs, like, oh my God, David Johnson, 26 snaps, Mark Ingram, 19 snaps, Philip Lindsay, 14 snaps. It's a hard mess to trust. We saw 2 quarterbacks on this one, Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor play. It looks like Davis Mills is going to be the starter, going into Thursday Night Football. I like what Brandon Cooks has been doing, but man, like, if it's Davis Mills, we might have to pump the brakes. But as of right now, it's only Brandon Cooks that we care about. We'll monitor Chris Conley from afar. If he plays 90% of the snaps continuously, that could be fruitful at some point. The Cleveland Browns, Donovan Peoples-Jones was the leading receiver here. We saw Jarvis Landry get hurt after 2 snaps. And after that, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 75% of the snaps. Rashard Higgins, 70% of the snaps. Anthony Schwartz down here at about 49. So they don't have a lot of receiver depth right now without Landry and OBJ. We see a big shift to the tight ends. Austin Hooper, 42 snaps. David Njoku, 36 snaps. Harrison Bryant, 31 snaps. So you're going to continue to see more 2 tight end sets, I believe, with the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb did get 35 snaps to Kareem Hunt's 23. Let's go look at the box scores. The Browns. So Baker Mayfield, man, 19 of 21, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, super efficient. He also gets the rushing touchdown. His targets, though, I mean, Harrison Bryant, 4 for 4, 49 yards. Austin Hooper, 5 for 5 for 40 yards. Njoku was kind of the odd man out, 2 for 18. But you see 3 tight ends being used. The majority of the targets, you see 4 to Bryant, 5 to Hooper, and 3 to Njoku. That's 12 targets out of 21. So basically 50% of the time, Baker is looking for a tight end, which is interesting. The receivers are nothing to be had here. I think it's going to be hard to trust Baker Mayfield and any of these wide receivers, these tight ends right now, because it just seems like it's a huge carousel, and you don't know where it's going to stop on. But the running backs, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb, 11 for 95, 1 touchdown, gets 1 catch for 3 yards. Kareem Hunt actually had the more carries between the two, 13 for 51, 1 catch for 2 yards. This is a floor game for Kareem Hunt. You're going to take that, but it's good to see Nick Chubb continuing to find the end zone and just be involved. 1 or 2 catches a game, that's all we need from him. And again, the Texans, Brandon Cooks, 14 targets, 9 for 78 and a touchdown. I think if it is Davis Mills, he's going to have eyes for our guy Brandon Cooks. So I guess you're going to continue to use Brandon Cooks, but even Chris Conley with that 90% snap count, only 2 targets, 1 catch for 13 yards. Let's move on to something more exciting. LA Rams and the Indianapolis Colts. A couple more injuries in this one here. The Rams, you see Tyler Higbee play 100% of the snaps. There's not too many tight ends that do that these days. I think Logan Thomas was the only other one to do that week 2. Matt Stafford, 100% of the snaps. This one was interesting, though. Cooper Kupp, he did play 100% of the snaps as well. And then you get a drop-off to Robert Woods, who's 98%, and Van Jefferson, 92%. That's more than he had the week before. Deshaun Jackson, only 5%. They didn't even see any other receivers. Only 4 receivers used in this one. But it looks like the Van Jefferson usage, I'm gonna keep note of that. He didn't have a great game, but if he's being used, I like that confidence from the coaches. Darrell Henderson, 40 total snaps, 68%. Sony Michel, 16 snaps, 27%. So Henderson did leave in this one. Michelle looked good. We'll look at the numbers in a little bit here, but the Rams, man, they have notoriously been super simple. They use like literally 4 wideouts all year, 2 running backs all year, and 1 tight end. So I like them for predictability. The Colts, on the other hand, Carson Wentz played 93% of the snaps. We'll get to Jacob Eason later, but Zach Pascal was the number 1 wideout, 91%. Michael Pittman Jr., who had a big game, 90%. Mike Strawn, 51%. It was really Pascal and Pittman that you wanted to be a part of in this one. Jack Doyle, though, has clearly separated himself as the clear tight end 1 of this group, 75%. The next closest, Mo Ali Cox, with 40%. Kylan Granson, the rookie here, not really helping much at all. Jonathan Taylor, 45%. That's a concerning number. Nyheim Hines, 37%. Just a really confusing game here. The Colts could have won this game. It was a couple weird scores in this one, but just let's look at the numbers here. So Carson Wentz, he's got 2 ankle injuries. We're watching for his practice reports this week, but he played well. 20 of 31, 247 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, added 37 yards on the ground. That's great. But Jonathan Taylor couldn't get anything going in the running game. 15 of 51, and the usage in the receiving game was just not what it was week 1. Only 1 catch for 2 yards on 1 target. Nyheim Hines didn't really get going either. He only had 1 carry for 5 yards. Only 2 targets, 1 for 17 in this one. So Nyheim Hines, kind of lower him down in our trust rankings here, but Michael Pittman Jr. was the winner of the day. Going up against the Rams, people were nervous about Jalen Ramsey, yada, 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 Rams defense, right? But Pittman goes out, 12 targets, 8 for 123. Jack Doyle, 5 for 64. Zach Pascal, that rascal the Pascal here, 5 for 38 and a touchdown. No other pieces can be used. So as it looks right now, this offense is taking the shape and the form of a couple fantasy pieces we can trust. You're going to continue to roll out Jonathan Taylor, just name value, draft capital, all that you're going to like to continue as your running back too. But this receiver battle here, Pittman and Zach Pascal, they look like they can be trusted, I think, right now. As long as Carson Wentz is the quarterback. If Jacob Eason's the quarterback, that's going to ruin some of the data we've acquired here. But Pittman Jr., man, this could be the start of something really nice here against the Rams, 8 for 123. And then here's the condensed. Just look how many players the Rams use. They really don't use anybody that they don't need. So interesting. Matt Stafford, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. 1 yard in the running game. But Darrell Henderson, 13 of 53, 1 touchdown, 3 for 29 through the air. Sony Michel looked good, though, 10 for 46. If Michel's hanging around the waiver wire, I'm slightly interested. Robert Woods did see 9 targets. That was good to see, but 5 for 64, 2 for 6 on the ground. Cooper Kupp, though, man, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp is the winner, based on draft value in this offense. So if you got Cooper Kupp in the 4th round, you're feeling really good. You might be 2-0. Just feeling really good. The Cardinals and the Vikings. The Vikings lost a close one with the missed field goal at the end. I don't know if the snap counts are quite in for this one. Let me see. The Vikings, interesting. We had some fun with the Vikings here. So Adam Thielen, 31-year-old Adam Thielen, is he 30, 31? 100% of the snaps. That's awesome. Justin Jefferson, 87%, and KJ Osborne, 59%. So he did take a little bit of a backseat to the snap counts that he had last week, but he's still the clear number 3 receiver on this team. Tight end Tyler Conklin still plays a lot, 80%, but not really getting in the stat sheet. Dalvin Cook, 77%. Alexander Mattison, 21%. And we have to monitor this potential high ankle injury for Dalvin Cook because Alexander Mattison could be the man that we're looking for. The Vikings do play Seattle next weekend. It's in Minnesota. That could be a fast track game. So Thielen, Jefferson, Conklin, KJ Osborne. If Dalvin Cook can't go, I'm going to be interested in some of these ancillary pieces here. And then the Cardinals, Hopkins is fantastic, 97%. AJ Green got in the stat sheet in this one, 84%. Christian Kirk, as long as he's on the field, 62%. I think he can be a fringe wide receiver 3. But the story was Rondelle Moore in this one, 28 snaps, 46%. His usage went up in this one, which is great to see. Max Williams, he's going to be on some tight end waiver wire lists this week, 74%. And you got the backup here down here at 31%. And then the running backs, Chase Edmonds, 39 snaps to James Conner's 24. In games where the Cardinals are winning, you're going to see more James Conner. In games where it's tight and close, you're going to see more Chase Edmonds. So let's look at the numbers real quick here. We're looking at Kylo Murray, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown. Just insane cheat code. He is the clear quarterback draft value winner at the moment. Conner and Edmonds both had 8 carries. Edmonds was just a lot better, 46 yards to 26 for James Conner. No targets for James Conner. That's unfortunate. But you see Edmonds with 5 for 29. He's a safe and steady PPR running back too. Rondelle Moore, though, he was, again, the 4th most snaps for receivers, but he leads the team in targets on the day. 8 targets, 7 for 114 and a TD. Max Williams down here, 7 for 7 with 94 yards. Christian Kirk, 4 targets, 3 for 65. DeAndre Hopkins made the most of his low 4 targets, 4 for 4, 54 yards and a touchdown. And AJ Green, 6 targets, 3 for 44 and a touchdown. So I think you just want to get a piece of this offense in Arizona, whether it's picking up Max Williams or Rondelle Moore or Christian Kirk. Some of these guys should be available on the wire. Kirk Cousins continued to play well, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 for 35 on the ground. That's always a nice little boost there, 33.5 points from the rushing. Dalvin Cook, though, 22 of 131. He had a great game, 2 for 17 in the receiving column, but he's got the ankle injury. We're going to monitor that. If Alexander Mattison is available, this might be the last time you get him on your waivers. KJ Osborne opened up with that big 64-yard touchdown. He goes 5 of 6 for 91 and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson leads the team with 10 targets, 6 for 65 and a TD. Adam Thielen, 6 for 7, 39 yards and a touchdown. And Tyler Conklin was kind of the low man, odd man out, 2 for 15 on 4 targets. But I think it's clear the Vikings, their defense needs a lot of help. They're going to be in some shootouts this year. I like the options for KJ Osborne and Tyler Conklin. They're going to be used, but we just got to continue to get more data points on these guys. The Jaguars and the Broncos. We'll be quick about this one. This was one of the worst. It got worse somehow for the Jacksonville offense in this one. Looking at the Jaguars here, Marvin Jones is like the only rosterable, I guess the only startable asset for Jacksonville in terms of fantasy. Shenault did play a lot, but he's got a shoulder injury we're waiting to hear on. 80% snaps for Shenault, 80% for Chark. I can't trust Shenault or Chark at all until we see more. Marvin Jones is the one guy you can use. James Robinson, I guess the good news for Robinson is he got 73% of the snaps. Carlos Hyde took a backseat, only 25%. So that's a small win for Robinson. He's getting his floor kind of built in with the PPR points. We can't trust the tight ends, Luke Farrell, Chris Manhertz, James O'Shaughnessy got hurt early in this one. It was just a rough day from the Jacksonville offense. We'll look at their numbers in a bit, but let's look at the Denver Broncos. But Cortland Sutton, the breakout game is here, 77 total percent. Tim Patrick, 74%. KJ Hamler played a lot, 71%, but he didn't really do much in the box score. This is a 3 wide receiver unit. Sutton's back. Tim Patrick's the clear number 2, and Hamler's kind of still that gadget option. Noah Fant, 77%. I think if you waited on Noah Fant in that 8th round, you're feeling pretty good about your tight end. You got a top 5 tight end at the moment. And then the running backs, Melvin Gordon still out snaps Javonte, 41 snaps, 59%, and Javonte's down here at 28 snaps, 41%. But looking at the box score, it's pretty even in terms of fantasy production. Both guys had 13 carries. Javonte, though, 13 of 64. Melvin, 13 for 31. You see the receptions, only 2 for 38. I guess he's not going to get, a 30-yard catch every game. So I think it's clear, though, that Javonte probably impressed the coaching staff a little bit more in this one. So if you can still acquire Javonte Williams in a trade, or if someone, spite dropped him in your waiver wire, I still like Javonte to slowly pull away here. But man, Cortland Sutton, 12 targets, career highs, 9 receptions, 159 yards. Didn't even get a touchdown, but he had a massive fantasy day. Tim Patrick, 3 for 37 and a touchdown. Noah Fant, 4 for 33 and a touchdown. I think at the moment right now, you probably want to start Sutton, Patrick, and Noah Fant, especially against the Jets next week. That's a pretty good opportunity for everybody to eat. And just keep in mind, if anything happens to Noah Fant this year, the Broncos are totally fine with what they got here in Albert Okwuegbunam, the backup. He goes 4 for 24. Nothing else can be trusted. KJ Hamler, he was worth a speculation at. I think you can hold on to him maybe, but it's going to be hard to trust him. But we'll see what he does against the Jets. It wouldn't surprise me to see KJ Hamler with a big touchdown in that game. But Javonte Williams, man, continued to hold on to Javonte Williams. He's building in a nice floor, 8.4 fantasy points in PPR last week. We'll see what he can do against the Jets. And then Teddy Bridgewater, man, 328 and 2 TDs. He's a fringe quarterback one next week against the Jets. Let's move quickly here. Buffalo, Miami, I don't even know what to do with Miami, guys. We'll see if Tua plays. If it's Jacoby Brissett, I'm probably not starting many wide receivers or anything in this offense. But Devonta Parker, 74% of the snaps. Jalen Waddle, 64%. Those are the clear number 2 receivers. We'll see if Will Fuller is back this week. But it was good to see Mike Gesicki get out of the doghouse or whatever the hell happened in week 1. He returns to 64%. Durham Smythe down here at 30. Myles Gaskin led the way at running back, 61%. The next closest, Salvin Ahmed at 31. Malcolm Brown's kind of an afterthought at this point. So we're trying to figure out the identity of this Dolphins offense. We just need more Tua. We'll watch the practice reports there. But for right now, I'm putting all my Dolphins on hold. I think only maybe Myles Gaskin. I don't know. We'll take the week to reevaluate and get those start-sit charts out for you guys. But the Bills, everything rolling for the Bills. You see Dawson Knox, 83%. That was impressive. Stephon Diggs, 78% of the snaps. Emanuel Sanders is the clear number 2 receiver in this offense, 77%. Cole Beasley down here at 60. Gabe Davis did play, but didn't play very well, 32%. And then the running back snaps. Devin Singletary, 66%. Zach Moss, only 28%. But we'll look at the box score here. Both running backs were impressive. They actually took away from Josh Allen's potential of a big offensive fantasy game. But Josh Allen, back to his kind of inconsistent ways, 17 of 33, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know the Dolphins defense is good in the secondary, but that's a little bit eyebrow raising. He's had 2 kind of so-so games so far this year, but he's still going to add those rushing numbers, 5 for 35 on the ground. But the rushing attack, Devin Singletary, 13 of 82 and 1 touchdown. Zach Moss, 8 for 26 and 2 touchdowns. Both guys catch 2 balls for roughly 8 to 9 yards. Zach Moss did lose a fumble in this game, but it was nice to see them go back to him. But man, I think at this point, you're probably going to be saying we have to start Devin Singletary. Moss becomes an interesting RB2/flex play. We'll kind of evaluate that throughout the week here. But Stephon Diggs leads the way in targets, 4 for 16, a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders was the next in targets. He goes 2 for 48. Cole Beasley only 4 for 36. That's a PPR floor for him. Dawson Knox, though, does catch the touchdown, 2 for 17 and the 1 score. And then everything else is just, it feels kind of weird in Buffalo. The running backs are producing. Josh Allen's not throwing the ball as great as he did in 2020. But Diggs is still useful, and we're trying to figure out the pecking order for Sanders and Cole Beasley yet. Again, on the Dolphins side, I mean, Gaskin, 5 of 25. But Malcolm Brown did get 5 carries, Salvin Ahmed with 6. So I don't like the carry situation here, but you like the receiving floor, 4 for 21. Again, it was roughly 8 to 9 points for Gaskin. You'll take that as a floor. Jalen Waddle did look okay, 6 for 48. He did lose a fumble on a punt return. Devonta Parker, 5 for 42. These are kind of floor games here. If Will Fuller doesn't play, I guess maybe I'll go back to Waddle and Parker. But it's also good to see Gesicki, 3 for 41 there. We'll watch and see. If Gesicki was dropped, I might be interested there, but you'll have to check your waiver wires for that. We'll be quick here with the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Let's see here. I'm going to hit the snap count button. I hope he didn't have to play against the Patriots defense on this one, because I guess the Patriots defense and the Bills defense this week were game-winning defenses that you could have got. So Mac Jones played a really nice game, gets the W. Jacoby Myers, 90% of the snaps. Nelson Aguilar, 86% of the snaps. You got Kendrick Bourne down here, the clear number 3 receiver, but we really don't care about that. It's Jacoby Myers and Nelson Aguilar. Those are the only 2 useful receivers in New England. Now, the tight end situation, Hunter Henry gets 81% of the snaps. Jonnu Smith only 50% of the snaps. So we got to watch Jonnu's practice reports. But at the moment right now, things could be tipping towards Hunter Henry's way. He'll be on the waiver wire list, I believe, for us this week, tomorrow night. Now, the running back snaps. James White led the team. 29 snaps, 50% of the plays. Damien Harris down there at 24% or 24 snaps, 41%. So interesting. James White, I think he's less than 50% owned in ESPN leagues. He's the one guy that I think you look at this offense. I like Damien Harris. If you ask me, the only really useful players that you're going to probably not even hesitate, it's going to be Damien Harris as your running back 2, and I think James White as a PPR running back 2. Nothing else sticks out here. Myers and Aguilar are kind of boom bust wide receiver 3 options. I still don't know if I trust the tight ends here. Mac Jones is barely useful in a super flex league, so it's an ugly offense, but it's a team that can win. So they didn't say it had to be pretty, but we'll hopefully we'll get some more info. I think the Patriots, they play. Who did the Patriots play? Isn't it the Saints this week? Interesting game. And then the poor Jets here. Zach Wilson had a rough go in this one, but the receivers, Elijah Moore led the way, 78% of the snaps. Corey Davis down here at 73%. Braxton Barrios, I don't know. We'll see if Jamison Crowder plays, but Elijah Moore, 78% of the snaps, 73% for Corey Davis. Interesting to note. If Elijah Moore is hanging out on your waiver wire, I am interested. He did have an 8-point PPR day here. We'll see if he gets more involved. And again, he's a rookie. Zach Wilson's a rookie. We're going to kind of watch this team grow, but it looks like they want Elijah Moore on the field, which is nice to see. Tight ends, we don't really care about the tight ends, but Tyler Kroft is the guy, 75%. They do use Ryan Griffin a lot, though, too, 62%, so it's kind of untrustworthy. But the running backs, Michael Carter took himself a little bit higher this week, 45%, same as Ty Johnson. Tevin Coleman just basically is just fading away now at only 10%. But so now we're looking at kind of like a two-man backfield. Carter, Ty Johnson. Let's look at the numbers and see who sticks out more. I'll let you guys decide. Michael Carter, 11 for 59, 2 catches, 29 yards. Ty Johnson, he played well, 12 for 50, but no catches. These guys both looked pretty good. Tevin Coleman, I don't know why they're running the ball. Tevin Coleman, they should be throwing him the ball, but 5 for 24. I would expect, again, this was a game that the Jets got blown out in. They somehow managed to run the ball 23 times between Carter and Ty Johnson. I think you're looking at that kind of recipe going forward, where Michael Carter, if you say he's going to get 12 to 15 touches per game, that could slowly translate to a low-end PPR running back too. Just keep an eye on that. Again, he's a rookie. He should get better as the season goes on, but Ty Johnson is not just going to give up the role right away. The leading target of the day, Braxton Barrios, 7 for 73 on 11 targets. Elijah Moore was number 2 with 8 targets, 4 for 47. I'm sorry about Corey Davis, guys. 5 targets, only 2 for 8. Just a rough day. Zach Wilson, 210 yards, 4 picks, 19 yards on the ground. They played Denver next week, so I don't know if it's going to get any better. But again, we're watching those snap counts. We're watching Michael Carter, Wilson, and Elijah Moore, and we'll see if Corey Davis can get back on track. The Patriots, Mac Jones, $186, 3 sacked 3 times. Didn't really offer much at all for fantasy, unfortunately. Damian Harris, though, good to see him get the 16 carries, 62 yards, and that nice touchdown run. 1 catch for 2 yards. If you drafted Damian Harris, you just want him to get 1 or 2 catches per game. So it's good to see that this is a thing here where he can get a catch every now and then. James White, though, he gets the goal line carry, 5 of 20 and a touchdown, 6 of 6 for 45 yards through the air. And then the receiving game, like Jacoby led the way with 6 targets, 4 for 38. Johnny was next. 5 targets, 4 for 28. Nelson Aguilar, 3 for 21. Hunter Henry, 2 for 42. Just low floors. A game where they didn't really have to pass the ball that much. We'll see. Maybe against the Saints they get things rolling. The 49ers and the Eagles are next. 11-17. This was an interesting game. Kind of an ugly game, though, for fantasy. One of you look at the game and you're just like, ugh. Like, we didn't really get anything in this one. But George Kittle, he had a bad game, but you got George Kittle. You'll be fine. Next week against the Packers, Sunday Night Football, you should be just fine. 100% of the snaps for Kittle. Jimmy Garoppolo, 100% of the snaps. We can't trust Trey Lance until Jimmy Garoppolo were to get injured or anything like that. This is Jimmy's offense for now. We'll see what happens as the time unfolds. Receivers, Deebo Samuel, 70% of the snaps. Brandon Ayuk, 54% of the snaps. So he got in the game more this week, which is good to see. He outsnapped Trent Sherfield, who was third with 34%. Mohamed Sanu, we don't have to worry about that. So there's technically 3 receivers in San Fran that we need to know. It's Deebo, Ayuk, and then Trent Sherfield. If next week we get a big gap with Ayuk and Sherfield, if it gets greater, Ayuk can be back. I know he only had 1 catch for 6 yards, but we're watching the usage. Shanahan tells us what he feels with who he gives snaps. So continue to watch Ayuk. Leave him on your bench until he does something worth starting. And then anything else, the running backs here, Elijah Mitchell, he got 61%, which is great, but everybody else got hurt. JaMycal Hasty was playing well. He got 36%. Poor Trey Sermon. He gets in there for 1 snap, 1 carry, gets concussed. So it was looking really good on that 1 carry, but we'll watch his practice reports. We'll see. I think the 49ers are rumblings that they might be signing Duke Johnson or another running back here. So we got to watch that. On the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, 100% of the snaps. Devonta Smith, 84%. Jalen Reagor, 72%. Those are the only 2 receivers that you can trust. I did like Quez Watkins, who had the big 91-yard catch. He was out there for 50% of the plays. But after Atlanta and then going up against a good defense in the 49ers, we have questions with Philly's offense. Miles Sanders, only 67% of the snaps. Kenneth Gainwell down there at 33. No sign of Boston Scott. So this continues to be Kenneth Gainwell, the running back 2 in this offense. If anything happens to Sanders, it's Gainwell that you want. So if he's still lingering, he's a very valuable handcuff because he can do it all. A lot of fun there. The tight ends, Goddard and Ertz, man. 66% for Goddard, 64 for Ertz. They kind of eat into each other's just upside and ceiling here, and it's just an ugly game all around for the Eagles. We'll look at the numbers here, but I'm actually encouraged by Ertz keeping up with Dallas Goedert in a game where nothing really happened, and Ertz was coming in with a hamstring injury, and he still matched Goddard's numbers. So the numbers here, we'll go with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, ugly game, 12 of 23, 190 yards. He did add 82 yards and a touchdown on the ground. That's what you signed up for with Jalen Hurts. He just needs to be more consistent and more get that high completion percentage for him to be just that big boom quarterback 1 for fantasy. Miles Sanders did look good, 13 of 55, only 1 catch, 4 yards. So you want those receptions. But otherwise, you're basically looking at a guy that's a nice, solid running back, too. He's got a floor of 8 to 10 points. And on a good week, he's probably going to hit, that 15 to 18-point range. Kenneth Gainwell continues to be involved, 6 for 14, 2 for 18 through the air. Just, again, if anything happens to Sanders, it's going to be Gainwell that gets the biggest bump. Quez Watkins led the day with 117 yards. He caught 2 of his 2 targets, the 91-yard catch and run. Dallas Goedert caught both of his targets for 24 yards. Devonta Smith, 2 for 16. Yikes. We almost have to start thinking about, do we trust Devonta Smith every week? Zach Ertz, only 2 targets, 1 for 6. Jalen Reagor, 2 catches for 5 yards on 5 targets. The 49ers, just a low efficiency day. It's a high efficiency day, just not a lot of big plays. 189 yards and a touchdown for Garoppolo. He also ran a touchdown in. He had both touchdowns in this game here. Elijah Mitchell, 17 of 42, and ugly yards per carry here. But he got the usage. That's what you care about. 2 catches, 11 yards as well. He was enough to get him boosted, to a low, what is this, a 7-point PPR day, I guess. JaMycal Hasty did look better, I thought, than Elijah Mitchell. 5 for 38. 4 for 21 through the air. Deebo Samuel, you're going to continue to just lock him into your lineups every week as a wide receiver 2. He goes 6 for 93, adds 8 yards on the ground. Trey Sermon, again, he was concussed. We're watching his practice reports this week. Jawan Jennings catches the touchdown, 2 for 17. George Kittle, he catches all 4 of his targets for 17 yards. So we just got to be patient with Kittle. He's going to have a big swing game coming up soon. Trent Sherfield, 1 for 9. Brandon Ayuk, 1 for 6. Nothing really else can be trusted. So very interesting game. Like, both teams have a lot to prove just yet. It's a messy situation. We'll cover more of these guys throughout the week here, but just a messy, kind of muddy game here from both teams. And the 49ers get the win, so 2-0 for San Fran. The Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Is there sun in my eye? Yeah, I got mad sun in my eyes. I'm just going to swerve over here a little bit. The Raiders win on the road 26-17. The snap counts are going to be fun to see here. Let's see what we got. Why can't I just scroll down? Where are my snap counts? The Raiders snaps. Derek Carr looked great, 100% of the snaps. Darren Waller, 92%. Brian Edwards led the way at receiver with 74%. Henry Ruggs was number 2 with 67%. Hunter Renfrow down at 44%. But man, you have to question, like, all 3 of these guys should probably not be hanging on the waiver wire. The way Carr is playing, he just beat the Ravens and the Steelers. He played very well. Edwards, Ruggs, and Renfro need to be considered being picked up off the waiver wire. Kenyon Drake led the way for running back, 71% of the snaps. Peyton Barber, whatever, 29%. But that's kind of the offense. When Josh Jacobs plays, we're going to care about Jacobs, but I think Kenyon Drake has proven to be a low-end PPR, Kareem Hunt style back where he can be productive in PPR. So you're looking at Jacobs, you're looking at Drake. You got 3 wide receivers here, Darren Waller and Derek Carr. This is a fruitful offense for fantasy, much better than the Steelers' woeful offense. They couldn't get anything going against the Raiders. Kind of frustrating. Juju Smith-Schuster led the way, 96% of the snaps. Deontay Johnson was the second receiver at 88%. Claypool, 77%. James Washington lay low here at 21%. So it's still a 3 wide receiver offense. It looks like Deontay's going to be okay. We'll just have to monitor his reports this week. Maybe it's a Chase Claypool week. Maybe it's a Juju week next week. We'll see what happens. But Naji Harris, they let him breathe once for a couple plays here. He had a couple plays off, 95% of the snaps. The guy that did come in was Benny Snell. Keep an eye on the tight ends. Pat Freiermuth, we're going to talk about him tomorrow night on the waiver wire. 59%, out-snapping Eric Ebron, 43%. I'm interested. Something to note. He got more snaps, better production. Ebron didn't even get a catch. So let's peel into some of these numbers here. For Ben, 295, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Naji, no running game, 10 for 38, but he goes 5 for 43 and a touchdown. This is what you want. If you drafted Naji Harris, we knew he would be involved as a receiver. He showed us week 2. He needs to be more involved as a wide receiver. Juju, 7 targets, 6 catches, 41 yards. He also added a 3-yard touchdown run. So good for Juju. Benny Snell, whatever. Deontay Johnson, 9 for 105 on a team-high 12 targets. Pat Freiermuth, 4 for 4 for 36 yards. Eric Ebron got 2 targets, no catches. So Pat Freiermuth ends up with a 7.6 PPR day. I will take note of that. He outsnapped Ebron. This could be something that continues to develop throughout the season. James Washington, whatever. Chase Claypool, though, he did see a team, second team high, 9 targets, 3 for 70. He gets you the 10 PPR points, so you're kind of happy with that. That's kind of his floor. He'll make a play eventually. And then the Raiders, Derek Carr, 382, 2 touchdowns, 9 yards on the ground. Peyton Barber, 13 carries, 32 yards. That's just your traditional Peyton Barber line. Kenyon Drake, 7 for 9. So you're going to struggle to run against the Steelers, but it looks like you can pass against them. Kenyon Drake did catch 5 of his 6 targets for 46 yards. Henry Ruggs with a huge play, 5 for 113 and a touchdown. It's good to see Henry Ruggs just used more. 7 targets, 1 attempt in the running game. Just keep trying to get him the ball 8 to 10 times. Good things will happen when Ruggs is involved. Quiet day from Darren Waller. He still gets you 11.5 PPR points. Hunter Renfro, though. He goes 5 for 57. We'll watch his PPR floor, but he looks like a guy that you can just throw out if you're in a pinch at wide receiver. Brian Edwards, 3 for 40. Nice to see him catch all 3 of his passes. A 7-point PPR day. That could be a floor for him going forward. Foster Moreau catches a touchdown, though. 2 for 34 to touchdown. If anything happens to Darren Waller, it's going to be Foster Moreau hot and heavy to the waiver wire speed dial. So the Raiders offense, the Raiders 2-0, like the Raiders, man. Get with it. The Raiders are going places. You want to kind of get a piece of that fancy offense. Maybe this was the game of the week, the Chiefs and the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Ravens win by 1 on a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble, kind of a necessary at that time here. But let's look at the snap counts. The Chiefs, we don't really need to care about these, but Kelsey, Hill, we're starting these guys every week. Tyreek plays 98%. Kelsey plays 86%. But what about after those guys? Mecole Hardman plays 78%. Demarcus Robinson, 59%. Byron Pringle had an amazing catch and run, 22%. Nothing really else. So I'm just curious. I'm going to continue to watch Hardman, Robinson, and Pringle. Mecole Hardman, man, I'm getting frustrated because Robinson and Pringle both showed up in this game. Hardman didn't really do too much. He had a good couple plays in the first quarter, but that was it. The running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 65%. Darrell Williams gets the goal line touch, though, 27%. Jerick McKinnon was out there in a few passing plays, but you got to wonder with Clyde having that costly fumble there, basically lost in the game. Does Clyde maybe get just a little bit of a decrease in snaps? We'll watch it, but overall, this offense for fantasy, it's Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, but we have to consider maybe benching Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So we'll get to those questions later. I personally want to see more Byron Pringle, more Demarcus Robinson, some more receiver fun there. Mecole Hardman, I think it's just not what we were hoping he would be. The Ravens, Sammy Watkins led the way with snaps, 92%. Next best was Marquis Brown. I think these two guys are fringe wide receiver 3s almost every week. Mark Andrews, of course, 75%. These guys probably need to be started. The way Lamar's playing and seeing the field, it looks like a fun offense to be a part of. Now the running backs. Tyson Williams, 37 snaps to Latavius' 27. Latavius gets the touchdown. Tyson gets the catches. Devonta Freeman is the headache in the middle between both of them. So let's just look at these numbers real quick, and we'll break down these running backs. Tyson, 13 of 77, 2 targets, 2 catches, 16 yards. He looks good, but just to keep him fresh, you don't want to give him 20, 25 carries per game with the way the Ravens' depth is, so I get the reason to split it. Latavius Murray goes 9 for 36 and a touchdown. No targets for Murray or Freeman. Freeman just he had the 131-yard carry, then he gets blown up for 2 yards. We'll see if he gets to kind of continue to mix in. But Tyson Williams, Latavius Murray, we know what they're going to be. Tyson's going to lead the team in carries. If any back catches the ball, it's going to be Tyson. Latavius Murray, though, if he doesn't get the touchdown, you're pretty upset with the 3-point game. So I think Tyson Williams is the guy going forward. You just whip him out for your floor. He didn't score a touchdown on this one, but this is kind of what you can expect. 12 to 15 touches from Tyson, a couple catches. He's a safe PPR guy. Marquis Brown led the way, looked awesome. 10 targets, 6 for 113 and a touchdown. Mark Andrews a little bit better for PPR, 5 for 57. Sammy Watkins, 4 for 44. This might be a floor. So those are really the only 3 weapons there that I would use, and I think it's time to trust Tyson Williams a little bit. The Chiefs box score, I mean, Edwards was 13 to 46. No targets, no catches in the costly fumble. Tyreek Hill, 1 for 15 on the ground. Only 4 targets, 3 for 14. This was a disaster game for Tyreek Hill. He'll probably whip out another 40 points or something next week. But Kelsey, 7 catches, 109 and a touchdown, 8 targets. It was kind of a quiet game until that 46-yard touchdown, but it's good to see him to continue to keep up with Rob Gronkowski. Byron Pringle goes 2 for 63 and a touchdown. Mecole Hardman, 5 for 55. If he can continue to build like an 8 to 10 point floor, that would be nice. Demarcus Robinson, 3 for 46 and a touchdown, and then just a bunch of onesies there for catches. But we're moving quickly here. We got, looks like 3 more games to cover. Dallas and the Chargers. I'm trying to keep this video around like 50 minutes, so we're kind of just going to blaze through here. In terms of snap counts for the Chargers, I think Mike Williams is like the biggest takeaway. You see Keenan Allen, 92%, Mike Williams, 76%. Jalen Guyton did play 70%. He's a guy to keep an eye on if anything happens to Allen or Williams. No other receiver can be trusted. The running back snaps, Eckler's going to be fine, 63%. Justin Jackson, though, took a step ahead of Larry Roundtree, so he's kind of back in that number 2 spot for me. And then Jared Cook and Donald Parham, 42 snaps for Cook, 34 for Parham. Anything happens to Cook, Donald Parham, 6'8". He's going to be the guy to monitor there. Cowboy side of things, CeeDee Lamb, 97%, Amari Cooper, 97%. No other wide receiver can be trusted. The Cowboys running backs, 71% for Zeke, 34% for Pollard, but Pollard got pummeled with touches, so that's really interesting. We'll look at the box score in a sec. Dalton Schultz, 45 snaps to Blake Jarwin's 29 snaps, but Jarwin kind of outplayed him from a box score perspective. Let's look at these numbers real quick. Dak, terrible game for fantasy, but he goes 23 of 27, which is very efficient. 237 yards, 1 INT, no attempts on the ground. Tony Pollard, 13 carries, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. 3 for 31 as a receiver, just fantastic. We might be seeing Tony Pollard evolve before our eyes into a fringe running back too. Zeke Elliott, 16 for 71. He gets the touchdown, or he gets the goal line carry, and then 2 for 26 through the air. Just a nice bounce back game for him. CeeDee Lamb, just between him and Cooper, I'd rather own CeeDee Lamb. He is the guy that's going to lead the team in targets and receptions and touchdowns this year. He goes 8 for 81, 1 carry for 13 yards. Cedric Wilson, 2 for 20. Blake Jarwin, 3 for 37. Cooper, 3 for 24 after that great week 1. Disappointing. And then Dalton Schultz at 2 for 18. The Chargers, though, man, Keenan Allen, 8 targets, 4 catches, 108 yards. Look at Mike Williams, though. 10 targets, 7 for 91, and a touchdown. He's having a really good start to his 2021 season. Jared Cook, 3 for 28. Josh Palmer, 2 for 21. No other targets for Donald Parham, but Parham did catch a touchdown that was called back. Now, this offense, it looked really good for Austin Eckler, 9 for 54. They're not going to run the ball a lot this year, but 9 for 9 as a receiver, 61 yards. You'll take this from Austin Eckler. It looked pretty good. Herbs was 3 for 38, a touchdown, 2 picks, 12 yards. This is a floor game for him. This team wants to just whip the ball a lot. So I'm encouraged by the usage. You want pieces of this team. Probably, this was my favorite game of the day, Seahawks versus Titans. Let's look at the snap counts real quick. These teams are kind of mirrors of each other, in my opinion. You're going to see the receivers. It's A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. Who cares what the other ones are? His name's Chester Rogers, if you do care. But Jeff Swaim, Michael Pruitt, splitting tight end duties. Derrick Henry, who's the backup for Derrick Henry? It's Jeremy McNichols. And the Seahawks side of things, Lockett and Metcalf, both at 93, 94%. The next guy, though, Freddie Swain, 76%. That's a high snap count for him. No other receiver needs to be known. But Freddie Swain, if you're in a pinch, whip out Freddie Swain, hope for a touchdown bomb. The running backs, Chris Carson, 63%. We saw Travis Homer get a lot of run, though, 26% for him. Alex Collins at 11%. And then the tight ends, Gerald Everett, 80% to Will Dissly's 48%. So that was a big win for Gerald Everett. It didn't really happen in the box score for him, but that's a small win. Seahawks, Russell Wilson, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 yards on the ground. Chris Carson saves the day with the 2 touchdowns. Frustrating to see the no targets. But Lockett, Metcalf need to be started in your lineup. They both had 11 targets in this one. Tyler Lockett, man, 4th round gem. Freddie Swain, though, man, 5 targets. If this continues, I'm interested. 5 for 95 and a touchdown. And Gerald Everett, he was open a lot, only 1 catch, 3 yards. But again, not even a target for Will Dissly. So that's something to watch going forward. The Titans, man, it's Tannehill, Henry, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. We really can't even care about anybody else here. So continue to roll with A.J. Brown. He's going to be fine. We'll see defenses start to key in on Julio. And then the last game here, I'm trying to go quickly. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Tom Brady, that's the only thing you really need to know in this Tampa Bay offense. They're going to throw it, and they're going to throw it a lot. They're going to throw in the red zone. They're just going to throw on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, don't matter. They're going to throw the ball. Tom Brady, big game. Chris Godwin, still the clear number 1 in this receiver group, 89% of the plays. Mike Evans, 73%. Antonio Brown, he's going to be frustrating, 44%. So at this point, you're going to continue to leave Godwin and Evans in your lineups. Antonio Brown is a flex play. The running backs, I think you can leave Leonard Fournette in there. He had 49% of the snaps. Ronald Jones did play 41%. But Leonard Fournette, low-end PPR running back too. Ronald Jones is going to need an injury to Leonard Fournette. Rob Gronkowski plays 81%. If you didn't get Kelsey or Waller, you want Gronkowski. He's the tight end. He's a top 3 tight end this year the rest of the way. So continue to use him. Don't even think about benching him. Find a way to get him in your lineup. Even if you have Kelsey, get Gronk in your lineup. On the Falcons side of things, Calvin Ridley, you're going to lock him in. He's 83%. No other receiver can be trusted. Olamide Zaccheaus, 58%, whatever. Russell Gage, 53%. What are we doing? Kyle Pitts is the number 2 receiver in this offense, 79% of the snaps. Ridley, Pitts, those are the only must starts in Atlanta right now. Mike Davis, 64% of the snaps. Cordero Patterson, 33% of the snaps. We'll look at those numbers in a second here. Davis played well in PPR leagues. He still got the carries and some of the catches. He goes 9 for 38, but he catches 7 for 25. But Cordell Patterson gets the goal line carry, 7 of 11 and a touchdown, 5 for 58 as a receiver and 1 touchdown. Probably one of the hottest waiver wire ads of the week. Calvin Ridley goes 10 targets, 7 for 63 and a touchdown. And then Kyle Pitts, just a floor game here. I think 5 for 73. As long as he keeps hitting these 12-point games, we're going to be fine. Nothing else in this game. Matt Ryan, we're worried here. He's not even really a quarterback 2 for Superflex these days. And then Tom Brady, again, 5 touchdowns, 276. Just an impressive game. We kind of already talked about Evans, Godwin, Gronk. Those guys are must-starts in your lineup. Can't trust Rojo yet. Leonard Fournette, sure, 10-point floor. And then Antonio Brown, we'll probably get a lot of questions on that. So this was a long video, 52 minutes. My voice is sore. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, spread our stuff here. We'll go live tomorrow night, Tuesday, for the waiver wire special. I'm going to get ready for the Packer game. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night. Peace.